going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ace Podcast, where we talk all things art, culture, and entertainment, but more specifically, pop culture entertainment. I'm your host, Will the Greatest, and with me, I have my regular co-host, Aaron. So, what's up, Aaron?
Yo, what's up, y'all? Good to be back. Well and swell. How you doing, Will?
I'm good. Little tired, but not from us, but I don't know why. I was just like weirdly tired today. I think I just slept a little silly last night, but good. Otherwise, been a while. How you been, man?
Good, man. Had a chill day with my dad today, and then I went to the gym for a bit,
Okay.
took a nap, got to go record for a rejects, and I changed. I was proud of myself because my headlight was out, my low
hmm
beam light, and I didn't go to the mechanic. I changed that shit myself, and I feel like a proper man for fixing my own car.
Oh, you'll definitely save some solid money doing it yourself. I had to do that when my one of my side view mirrors got busted about a month or so ago. And so rather than spend like $800 getting it replaced and fixed, bought a replacement for like 60 and just changed it myself. It really didn't take that long. Which is good, but
Yeah, bro. I made that mistake when so my car is having like it would take a second to start up, and sometimes
mhm,
I like trying to turn the ignition a couple times, and then
mhm,
I thought it was my starter, but then I took it to the mechanic this week and it turned out I just need a new battery.
mhm.
And so the battery it's a family mechanic, so luckily it wasn't too expensive, but the battery plus repair cost about $200. And
Damn.
then my dad was like, "You probably could have changed that yourself." I was like, "Damn." Because seeing them do it, they did it like super quick. I'm like, oh, shit, I probably could have done that myself.
Mhm.
Damn. So next time, just buy my own battery, watch YouTube, and fix it myself.
There you go. Yeah. Have I changed? Yeah, I've changed my battery before, I think. It's not that hard.
Also, doing your own oil change will save you money too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Have I done oil change? I've definitely I've definitely checked my fluids before, but I don't think I've done a full oil change.
You really got to get into the car and like get the drain pan and everything.
Yeah, yeah, all of that. Which I mean, I have a jack and everything, so I can do it. But yeah, I guess as far as how things have been since the last time we had an episode, because last time we did was I think Barbenheimer.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
no major updates as far as the strikes. But we're gonna talk a little bit of DC. It's a very superhero heavy episode today. We got some fun ones to discuss on the back end, and I think we're gonna do our first live kind of reaction to something. More so for you, because it's something we'll get there when we get there. But let's start with a little bit of. Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna start with DC and end with DC. So as we're recording this on Thursday, the trailer for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has come out. Um, so did you see the trailer?
I did watch the trailer. Yeah, uh,
What'd you think?
it was all right. it
I
kind
thought it
of
was
it reminded
good.
me of Nick's because the voiceover reminded me of Thor: Love and Thunder, but the
Yeah, I'm like,
movie
who
of
is he
it,
narrating to?
yeah, he was narrating that part, but also reminded me of Thor: The Dark World as well because he's
Yeah.
getting his brother out of jail, kind of
Yep.
thing, and like they have to work together from the villain from the last movie. But then like, don't get me wrong, I love Yaya. I think Yaya is a great actor, but I was just like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care that you fighting
I
Black Man.
I'm excited to see Black Manta because Black Manta is the sea hater himself. Like
He
he's
was there in the last one. That's why
I
I just
know. And he's back again because hey, look, Black Manta's on the Mount Rushmore of hate. If he can capture, like, he's like reverse Flash tier, in terms of just like hater energy. Like he's an honorary hateocracy member. He just hates, like, yeah, they gave him a reason to not like Arthur in the first movie, but I love in the comics where he just hates. He's like,
you
I
just
don't like
don't
him.
like that
Why
nigga.
not?
No
Yeah,
reason.
I just don't like that nigga. Like, I just don't like him. Swarmed around with his curly locks and whatever, but no, it's like as far as the trailer goes, um, I thought it was good. It made me interested in the movie. It's like I forget that Aquaman was like a DC movie that I enjoyed.
It
Going in
looks
and
fun.
yeah, I
Like,
mean, it looks fun. It doesn't look like it's taking itself seriously. Amber Heard showed up for a collective second. I almost forgot she was in it.
was it even a second? I was like, oh yeah, she's
It was
in
like
this.
it was like a half second. he has a baby. So I didn't know that apparently the baby
Okay.
thing is from an actual comic storyline
Uh,
where I I think Black Manta or somebody killed Arthur's like newborn son. And so he
they're not
was
gonna
on
do that.
like
They don't wanna
so
involve that.
and there are rumors that the original version of the movie didn't test well, hence why they had those extensive reshoots. And people are wondering if it's because they killed the baby. I'm like, that would have been really ballsy. I kind of
I would want them to kill the baby. If they had the
yeah,
balls to do you
I
don't have to
agree.
show
It's
the baby getting killed, but you can, like, maybe show a silhouette of the Triton. No, that's fucked up.
yeah,
That's
it's
so
like like on some Disney shit. You just see the arms go up with the Triton, the trident, and then just wick, and
Oh, I
then
was
like
thinking, like, he there's a silhouette of him, like, lifting up the baby on
oh, with the baby on it like a fork.
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be crazy. While the house burns.
right.
That'd be- Remember, this is the same guy that brought us, Saw and Insidious and
True.
oh, what was the movie that I loved? Um, not Barbarian, the other one.
Didn't he bring us Megan too? No, ooh. Ah,
The one
fuck.
with the
That's
M.
what I'm talking about
You know
with
the
the
one
back of the head, with the homegirl with the chair.
yeah. That shit was great.
Oh, what was it called?
Malignant.
Malignant. Yeah, Malignant. Yep, yep.
This is the same guy that brought us Malignant. So it's like it's not that I think James Wan has it in him to do it. I just don't know if that would test well. It's like I wanted to see a superhero movie. I didn't want to see them killing babies. It's like I don't know, man. That's pretty ballsy. Like I wouldn't expect that if it's real, but if they don't, it's here's the thing. It's fine if they don't, but if they do, this would definitely put it up there with like Shazam 1 where the villain was his mom. Like she was much worse than the actual supervillain was. It's like, "Oh, you abandoned your son at a theme park in Philadelphia. You're actually evil.
Right,
You're actually evil. In Philly, evil."
right.
You're
Despicable.
yeah, it's like, yeah, I know he's like summoning the seven deadly sins and burning down the city. People do that in Philadelphia every other weekend. But you left your like 8-year-old son alone in like an amusement park in Philly. You're a villain.
Yeah.
You're a terrible. You're not just a bad mom. You're a bad person,
Go to
and
jail
you
or die.
won't get into heaven.
Right.
Uh,
All dogs go to
but nah,
heaven, not you.
yeah. But no, otherwise, I thought the trailer looked good. It's watching it like I agree with you with the Thor: The Dark World comparisons, like in a good way. Like I like uh Patrick who plays Orm,
Patrick
Ocean
Wilson.
Master. Yeah, Patrick Wilson. Like I think he's a good actor, and his scenes in the trailer look cool. And yeah, it's definitely a bit of a Thor and Loki vibe. And like I think Jason Momoa was good as the version of Aquaman that they've been doing in this universe. I just don't think he's because he's not as like, and I'm not any big Aquaman fan in the first place. Like my biggest interactions with were like Young Justice and a little bit of a Justice League. But
Mhm.
it's like I don't think he has that regalness that I really would want to see out of Arthur.
He's still
Like,
bro.
huh?
He's still just like he's very broy and like my man.
Yeah, he's a big dude, bro, and he does it well. So it's like and he looks great in like the gold and green.
Oh
He
yeah.
looks great in it. It's just like he's not a regal, stern leadership, but also kind of like jolly ocean guy, like he type of Arthur Curry, like I've maybe seen in a couple other adaptations.
Right.
So it's like I want to see him more just because it's like this is the first real live action one we've got outside of the one from Smallville. Um, it's just it's always been okay, and I don't think it's ever been more than okay, and that's kind of the issue because it's like it's fun. I just don't know how much it's fun. I think the movie's gonna be fun. I am curious to see what James does with a character like this in the future. Now, I would not mind Momoa coming back as Lobo. I think he would be absolutely
Oh,
phenomenal
perfect.
as that.
Love.
Like he would kill that.
Mhm.
Bring him back for that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great. But um, no, movie looks fun. I'm excited to see Yahya again. He always brings his A game. He looks great. I just it just seems like a simple plot. It's like we have, the object and then the dark mirror version of the legendary object and the bad guy, you
It
know.
feels like uninspired, run of the mill. I think that's what it is. It doesn't seem bad.
Yeah.
Like we've seen this shit before.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same thing with Shazam 2. Like, I don't think when I saw Shazam 2 and I saw the complaints, and were like, "Oh, Shazam 2's dog shit." I'm like, Shazam 2's fine. Like the biggest issue with it is there's not enough Billy because despite the fact that what's his name Angel, the actor for Billy.
Angel Anson or something like that. Yeah, something like
Yeah. He's a fantastic actor and he wasn't in it enough. That's the biggest issue with that movie. Like the villains
that.
are fine. The effects look good. Random Wonder Woman cameos. Like the movie has funny moments. Like it's not a bad movie. Um, it's just I hate the fact that like Billy is more childish as Shazam than is Billy.
Yeah,
That's the biggest issue with that movie. But like that movie's fine. I think Aquaman 2 will be fine. Will it break $1 billion? We'll see. I wouldn't get my hopes
I don't
up,
think so.
but if it does, hey, cool.
Was it domestically got $1 billion? Or was it internationally
No,
got
I,
$1 billion?
I think it was worldwide, all together. Domestically,
Because I can't imagine like
yeah, like
motherfuckers-
it was a billion worldwide, so including domestic and international, so all
maybe
total.
foreign markets really love the shit because I can't
I
imagine
think China really liked Aquaman.
China. I can see
I
that.
think so.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it looks fine. I mean it looks fun. I
Yeah.
will say that maybe something like Way of Water kind of spoiled the possibilities of what underwater can look like. As far as
Kinda. It because I was thinking about that too.
it just feels like more the
Um.
same though for Aquaman ones, but it didn't like that's part
Yeah,
of the
like
problem.
it doesn't feel much like a sequel and more of which I guess a sequel should be a continuation of the narrative. It's just I can't see too much that's new because like I'm glad everybody's coming back, but the villain was already in the first one,
Yeah,
but he's just more villainous,
right.
which is
Yeah,
like
I mean,
again, Black Manta looked great in the first one. Everybody looks good. The production design is really good. I think he has the talent for like James Wan has a great cinematic eye.
I think we just
Like
have to
that's one
ask.
thing.
Yeah, it's like that's the thing though. We've had so many comic book movies that are range between like mid and fine, or
Yeah.
bad and mid. Would you define fine and mid as the same thing?
Technically, yes. Mid has a much more I don't use mid too often because it has much more of a pejorative label than it, but I would say technically that yeah, they're the same like Shazam like I think Shazam 1 is great. Shazam 2 I would say is mid. It's
Yeah.
fine. Blue Beetle, which we'll get into in a sec, is like a step and a half above Shazam 2.
Yeah, it's mid and a half.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's like absolute booty ass, rough,
Yeah, doo-doo.
mid, fun, good, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like yeah, that's you know It's like mid is literally the middle. It's
Right.
middling. Mid is acceptable. What's the last thing I saw
It
that was like
passes.
kind
It's
of
a C.
yeah, yeah. It's like you're passing. You'll be straight. You'll be all right.
Mhm.
I don't know. Do we want
What
to
was
move
I
over to
think the
Blue Beetle?
last great movie? What was the last great comic book movie? Oh, fucking Spider. Right.
TMNT.
Oh, you're right. TMNT was great. TMNT,
Spider Verse was great
Spider-Verse,
too. Don't get me wrong.
TMNT,
That movie's
Spider
phenomenal.
Verse, and the Batman are the only great movies I can think of to come out in the last like 2 years, comic book movie wise.
I'd agree. Uh, yeah. I love Wakanda Forever. It's like right under there.
I think Wakanda Forever
It's
is good. I don't think it's
I think it's good. It's right underneath there. It's a couple like small things, little tweaks, but yeah, it's good. It's almost great. Um,
so. Hopefully,
yeah,
Aquaman is at least good. I think.
yeah. I just want it to be a good, fun movie like the first one was. Just be a good, fun romp where we'll come back and be like, that was fun. We had a good time. It looked good. People acted. Uh, Canonically, this is somewhere at a point in time in history, and I'm just not worrying about it anymore.
Okay, I think I'm trying
Just
to remember. I think Flash was fun for me. I think Flash.
Flash was fun for me.
I would put it in fun.
People shat on Flash pretty hard.
I wouldn't go as far as to say it's like, damn, this was good. I would say it was fun.
At the time, I think when we did our review for Flash, I think I said it was good, like fresh out the theater. Thinking about it and thinking about more of the details, especially like the visuals, I'd say it's fun. I agree with you.
Nate, did I tell you I watched Flash twice in the same day?
You did. It's like, damn, bro. You got a death wish? You good? Do we need to talk like off the show? Is everything okay?
Yeah, I was just like, I'm wild for this. Only because I got a fucking A-list. That's literally the only reason I did.
Some people would categorize that as a form of self-harm. Just want to make sure you're okay, man. I care about you.
It's a little different if the movie's really good, but The Flash was just it didn't justify seeing it twice in the same day. No. It was because my friends were coming in town, and I was like, nigga, I can't wait for the internet anymore. I gotta know what this shit is all about. I've been waiting fucking years for this.
You remember I saw Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness twice in the same day off of happenstance, back to back.
Oh man.
Like 30 minutes apart.
God damn.
Which is like, again, I like that movie a lot. I would say that that's fun. But like it didn't warrant seeing it twice in the same
God no.
Especially not like 30 45 minutes apart. It was just, I was too hyped for my own good. Fucked up.
You played yourself on that one.
Well, because it's like, I'm like, okay, I'll go see it. Then I'm gonna go on this date, and I'm not worried about them seeing it with me. They want to go see Harry Potter. It's like, oh babe, let's go see Multiverse of Madness. Fuck.
Oh God.
I've already seen it. But I don't want to ruin the fun. But...
Right. Now, did you tell them afterwards that you already saw it twice?
I think they know now. I'm trying to remember if I told them. If not, well, if they listen to the episode, they'll find out. But yeah, I don't know anything about Aquaman. Excited to see Black Hater back.
Black Hater?
It, really. I hate him. Why? I just do. I hate his skin. I hate his locks. I hate his orange chest. I hate his green draw.
His chest, I just hate him. Whack. His armor, whack. His hair, whack.
Whack. Me, I'm tight as fuck. I bet you they're gonna have a stinger that sets up him having a son in his Aqualad, and that's not gonna go anywhere.
Most definitely, 100%.
That Young Justice series will never get. I wouldn't mind seeing Yaya back as Black Manta in the new DC. I'm not even gonna lie, just to be a hater, just to be like age him up a little bit. He just hates shit. He's just sitting there in the multiversal League of Evil, Legion of Doom, and he just in there his math like because it's all like nanotechy now,
right?
And he's sitting there like, yeah, I can't stand these niggas, just hating shit. Him and Lex Luthor's hating ass is like, I can't stand that alien. His bald chrome dome head ass, and then Manta's next to him was like, yeah, I can't stand them niggas. And then who is it from Black Lightning's villain? Just be calling people slurs.
Oh right. Oh, what's his name? Titus, I think. Well, he didn't call
Tobias Whale. Just calling people slurs for no reason,
slurs, bro.
He was a true villain because he started making up new shit to insult you, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, if you have to invent something, I gotta fuck you up on principle. If you invented some new, you flipped through a thesaurus and started putting adjectives and nouns together just to insult
in places that had no place being, just to fuck you over. You knuckle.
Yeah, it's like if you. He's like, oh, look at you hopping like a little jungle bunny. It's like, get the fuck out of my face.
Jungle bunny.
Fuck out of my face, sir. This man frequents the racial slur database just to come up with new shit to insult me. You over here, Google is like, what the fuck did he call me today? Just it's like, I don't know what he called me, but it didn't sound appropriate or of God.
Why was he so creative with it? What was up with that?
Internalized racism, I'm sure.
Right. Oh, I'm sure.
But he was creative with it. I haven't seen a racist that creative since, I don't know, Ronald Reagan.
What's his name? Yeah, so Lex Luthor would be like, fuck that alien. And Black Panther was like, yeah, fuck that fish nigga too. It's like,
And then Tobias, well, yeah, fuck niggas. It's like, whoa.
wait a minute.
Black Manta, I'm like, what he say fuck me for?
Right, what I do to you?
You over here looking at it like, why don't you go over and commiserate with your boy Gorilla Grodd? What?
What did he say?
You better take the helmet off and start boxing.
Right, wait, we're supposed to be on the same team.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor's over there all racially confused because he's racially ambiguous sometimes.
Oh yeah, that racially ambiguous Lex Luthor who's bald but could be light skinned, but we're not sure because he was voiced by Clancy Brown.
Right.
Ethnically ambiguous Lex Luthor, certainly extremely Black Manta, and Tobias Vitiligo White Whale
Right.
or albino White Whale. It's the legion of racists.
Mr. Hershey's Cookies and Cream himself.
Right. Oh man, speaking of racism and gentrification, you want to talk about Blue Beetle?
Let's get it.
What
What you think of it?
Yeah, especially because that is where we got cut off the last time we tried to record, but now we can actually talk about it. I thought Blue Beetle was fun. That I'll say my good and bad, and I'll let you tag in. The good suit looks amazing.
Yeah.
One of the best comic book suits put to film in recent years. Shout outs to DeTrinity. I think he was one of the key designers for that suit. So it looks, yeah, it's gorgeous. Really good fight scenes that I could see and follow. I really love the family dynamic.
Mhm.
I like the backstory that they had for Carapax, the OMAC. I thought that was actually interesting. Um, I like Cholo Maraduena. I would enjoy seeing more of him as this character. For the most part, I have some minor things with him that I'll get into for a second. But yeah, it's like it's a fun movie. You know, I definitely say it's like I would say it's worth like at least a matinee.
Yeah.
Like at least like $5 in theater.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll say I had a good time
good.
with it. I
Yeah,
I never
yeah,
found
it's a good
myself
time.
like on the edge of my seat. Like that's the thing. I think that I thought it was the epitome of like a fun movie. Like
Yep.
it was a light, it was like inoffensive. It didn't like break the universe or break the mold of a comic book movie. And
This should have been a Max movie,
it could have been a Max
like
movie.
it was originally.
I don't regret seeing it in
It,
theaters. It could have been a Max movie.
I don't regret seeing it in theaters, but when I walked out, I'm like, you should have left that on Max. It would have. I think it would have done a lot better on Max. It
Well,
deserved.
shit.
I think it deserved as many eyeballs like a theater could offer.
Mhm. But
Um,
on Max.
but I think you could only get that through Max with this movie.
Yeah, because like that's the thing. You have a whole audience of people that are willing to engage with superhero movies, but are only willing to spend in the properties they're already invested in. And plus, they did a
Right.
dog shit job of marketing this movie.
The marketing for this movie was
Also,
horrendous.
it had the unfortunate timing of being right smack dab in the middle of all of the strikes going on, so none of the cast could really
Yeah,
promote
they
it.
couldn't market it worth a damn.
Yeah, so it had all those things going for it, and like it's like I don't know. It reminded me of like a phase 2,
Too.
phase 3 Marvel movie. You know, one of those
Yeah.
like middle of the road movies, but without the building blocks of having it set up something else. Well, granted, it set up something else,
Yeah.
like a sequel to Blue Beetle, like with the.
Yeah, which I'd watch a Blue Beetle sequel. Just
It did make me want to see Jason Sudeikis as Ted Kord because that's who the director intended it to be.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, it had like in the picture of the drawing or the painting looked a lot like Jason Sudeikis anyway. Uh,
Yeah, so you could easily just slot that
yeah,
in.
I will say I liked the lead. I thought he was good in the role. I thought him and the girl had chemistry. Um,
Really?
oh, okay.
He
Let me
did.
think. Hold on. I watched them
Because
on a
I'm gonna say something
podcast and they had
controversial.
chemistry, and I thought that ending scene
Okay.
where he took her, where she was gonna go back with him, and they like right before they kissed. I thought that they had chemistry in that scene. You think they had chemistry?
Okay. So going into the movie, I didn't know the girl with the glass because I tried to avoid more than the first trailer. I didn't realize the chick with the glasses was his sister.
Oh.
And so I'm watching, I'm like, he has more chemistry with his sister than with his love interest. And it made me a little
Oh, like
uncomfortable.
romantic chemistry, you thought?
That's the vibe. It was very Folgers commercial a couple
What does
times
that mean? Folgers
where it's like
commercial?
them. Oh, you haven't seen that infamous Folgers commercial
No.
where the from like 2004 where the brother comes home from like the military or something with a cup of coffee and she like takes the or like a Christmas gift and she takes the wrapper thing off and sticks it on my chest and it's like, "You're my present this year." And they have a slightly uncomfortably too long stare. It's just like a half second too long. You're like, fucking family
Was
is
supposed to be
this?
sisters in it?
And then the best part of waking up.
Hold on, let me look this up now. What the
The-
hell?
but yeah, it's like I don't think they had zero chemistry. It's just I think because I don't think the movie really necessitated him having a love interest. I think you could have laid the seeds down, but again, it's like, oh, we don't know if we're getting a sequel. We don't know how the movie's going. But it's like, but I think you could lay the seeds down. Like, just because a man and a woman are in the same scene doesn't mean they immediately have to fuck. But I felt more of an emotional connection with the person that's supposed to be his sister. Like, because it seems like I think that type of character, and I don't know if he has a sister in the comics. I just know that his family plays a big role. But I thought that archetype would have fit better for a love interest where it's like, this is my childhood friend that I've known my whole life that stayed here and really knows my
Yeah,
family, versus this businesswoman who's hot uh, and is going to give me a job because, I fought back against misogyny
right.
or some shit. Like,
Her auntie,
You know, that's another
the
thing.
the aunt was
Um,
not great. I mean, the performance was fine, but just like the character was just like very bland, very nothing. Like it was like Corey
well,
Stoll in fucking
well,
Ant Man, you know?
the issue with that is because I think Susan Sarandon phoned it in, but it didn't look like she was having fun with it. Which I'm like, you look, I get it was going to be a simple character, simple villain. Oh, the villain is capitalism and the military industrial complex. Yeah, yeah, we know gentrification. Woo. But you do this one of two ways. You either uh write it good, or if you know it's going to be by the books, you have to ham this villain up. Like she should have been stereotypy like you need to be the evilest most hateable white bitch. And you know what I could tell when I was watching it? This was supposed to be Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Think about it. This was supposed to be Sigourney Weaver because if Sigourney Weaver did this performance, it would
Yeah,
have worked.
I agree.
And I like Susan Sarandon as an actress. I think she's a good actress. I think she could have gone farther and goofier and sillier. She should have been like comedically evil. Like, oh, whatever you say, because they did it a little bit where it's like, thank you, Pedro. My name's not Pedro. Thank you, Jose. No, make her like a fucking Karen of a boss. Like she doesn't give a shit about her little Brazilian niece either. It's like, oh, like I wanted her to be just the most despicable white bitch, and she was just a white
Yeah,
CEO. And she should have been like really hateable by everybody should
yeah.
have hated her. Versus like, yeah, she's evil, but like a Jeff Bezos evil. Like,
It was just
yeah,
indifferent, you know. There wasn't like this personal connection between the villain and the hero.
yeah.
And we didn't
She was, and
yeah, and we didn't
it,
really get into the stuff with the scarab, and like I think that would have been interesting if we like explore that conflict more a little bit.
yeah,
And yeah, it just felt like it felt very safe. It was a very safe comic book movie.
yeah. And so one of the other issues I have too is a little bit of Jaime's characterization. So going into this, I thought they were going to have Jaime be a high schooler, like I've seen him in other
Right.
adaptations. So he's
Yeah.
21.
Fresh
He's
out
a
of
college
college. Yeah.
graduate. I think he acts a little too immaturely at certain points in terms of how he navigates his heroism. Like, I understand getting the suit and everything is fucking terrifying. They do that part actually really, really well.
Yeah.
Um, but when he gets in like that first big fight and he's not even trying to talk about it, he's like, no, 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 wait. It's like, oh no, no, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't kill. I'm like, dude, you're a young man. Like, maybe because of how I was at 21, where I was just like a radical bit of a dickhead. But it's like, I think a teenager, someone going into college, has a little bit more of like that hope and optimism. 21-year-olds by now are like super cynical.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you're fresh out of college, meaning you just found out your family's about to lose their home. You probably have a bunch of student loan debts. So it's like you graduated and you're happy about that, but you're like,
Okay.
fuck, man, I got to go out into the world. I got to get a job. Like, I think a 21-year-old is like, I'm not saying he can't be a kind, helpful person. I think he'd be a little bit more kind of Spider-Man-y. I think he'd be a little bit
Like
more
pre Uncle
cynical
Ben kind
and
of
like,
vibes.
yeah, and like I don't think, and maybe it's because of I would have written it
I think
a little differently. I think he was a little too
his
safe in
arc
certain regards, where
was
he
his
was a
arc
little
was
too
safe. Yeah, and
idealistic.
it which doesn't track because there's a couple things wrong with that, right? One, his only arc is refusing, like, he was already good and good-hearted, and he went from a
Yeah, which
good-hearted
is
person that wanted a
fine.
normal life to accepting that he has a scarab and fusing with it, but still being a good-hearted person. Two, it make no goddamn sense that this man is so golden-hearted, peace, like, optimal, like, goody two-shoes when his whole family got that dog in
Mhm.
them, and they murdered motherfuckers left and right.
Shout outs to the grandma. The grandma was dope. I hate that they put her in the second trailer because I
I didn't
wish
watch
I
the second.
hadn't seen that in this, because I didn't want to watch the second trailer. It popped up, I think, before I saw terms. I'm like, well, fuck, that spoiled something that would have been really cool to see
What did
in
they
the
put?
movie. So that second trailer is really nasty because it really gives away most of the plot. But like remember near the end of the climax and everything where he's taking on Red Carapax and then he gets a little cocky and then he gets a little angry. I wish that would have happened earlier in
Yeah.
their first fight where even though he's adjusting so those fights thematically should have switched where it's like in the early one, you know sure, the suit is unfamiliar, but like let's say the suit is doing all the work and then he's like, oh, your family makes you weak. He should have gotten pissed. He should have gotten because that would have been my first thought. If I'm 21, it's like, if you're happy go lucky, even at that point, that should have been the breaking point where it's like, oh, I'm gonna blow up your uncle and that girl you have a crush on. Oh, you
Right.
got to die. You got to go right now.
Like, please
And
take
then
over for me.
the suit's like, are you sure you want to kill him? And then he pulls back. And then you get like, I think that's what would have made him stand out is he's he's not, I don't think he should have been impulsive. I think, like you said, he should have had a little bit more of that dog in him. That
Yeah.
should be anger. And I
Showed
think
some
that's how
anger
it could have
towards
shown
the
up,
end,
where it's like,
and it's
yeah. Like when he had it at the end, I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking. Beat
I
that
think
bitch's ass. Beat him into the dirt.
it's
Kill him. And then
it's interesting that we've,
go
like,
ahead.
entered this age, right? Because, like, I feel like because we have so many comic book heroes in these films that
Mhm.
it seems like they're almost afraid to make our characters and our leads a little bit unlikable or have a quality that they need to overcome.
Yeah.
Like, the only examples I can think of that are coming to my head right now would be Doctor Strange, Iron
Hmm.
Man,
Hmm.
Thor in the first
Yeah.
Thor movie, and maybe
You know,
Wanda,
uh, you
and
know,
that's about it.
you know what I think it is. You know
What?
what I think it is. Because I want to give the movie another compliment. I really like how they kind of fold it in. It was what I was talking about last time we tried to do this. I do like the inclusion of the culture in that being a key part of Jaime's identity and his family's identity. Like there are even things that I picked up on, and even like being like they shot it and it felt
Yeah,
Mexican, if that makes sense. Like I guess I had the a little bit of like recency bias of like being in Mexico in like July and then seeing the movie a couple weeks later. I'm like it felt familiar, like it and it felt it's like yeah I was in a more affluent part of the country, but it
no,
still was like Oh, can you hear me? Hear me?
Yeah, I'm back.
Can
Okay,
you hear
cool.
me?
I thought your internet went out.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, no, the shit. Yeah, but I was in a more affluent part of Mexico, but it's like as far as how it looked, as how it felt, I felt like I was back there again, just in a different part. So it's like, um, but to your point about having likable characters, you know what it is? I think it's because he's like the first major big two uh Latino
Mm.
superhero. You don't want to because I
Uh,
don't
they want to be
know
a
how
Latino that's
people.
well represented. That like represents what they believe to be the ideal of like a good person.
You're I like the father, by the way, too.
That
I really liked
scene
his relationship with
was
his
was
dad.
ballsy. Even did you see that coming? Because I didn't realize. I didn't.
No, and I was a little upset by it because I kind of, ironically enough, I maybe just because I'm on a big like uh improving masculinity tip, seeing a young like brown kid having healthy conversations with his dad who just seems like a good guy and then losing that kind of
Mm,
bothered me. Not because it's bad, but because like, and I'm not saying that those aren't things those aren't relationships that are represented. I just don't know how much they're discussed about like healthy
yeah,
paternal relationships. And like, I think, we're having these constant talks about like, hey, where are the good men at? His dad was they are broke. And he's
yeah.
like, tip them. We'll find it. They have no money, and he's giving away money out of the kindness of his heart. So you can see where Jaime kind of he inspires him. He plays a huge role in him reconnecting and with the scarab in that honestly
There's
pretty
some great
beautiful
scenes.
sequence where
There's
he's kind of
nuggets of
talking to
greatness
him.
in this movie.
Yeah, yeah, and so I really like the relationship, and so when they killed him, uh, it it hurt, not just because it was well done and well executed, and everyone was acting very well in that, but like I'm like I can't think of too many other plays where we see like it happened in Black Panther. His
It
dad
did.
died. Like that's how we're introduced
Right.
to him. Is his father died? We don't have a lot of those in like this. We don't have a lot of parents in the superhero
Fair,
genre
yeah.
to begin with. Um, but let alone healthy paternalistic relationships. Tony Stark fucking dies. His
And his
daughter,
dad died before him.
only has a mom left. Peter lost both of his surrogate
Mhm.
parents and his actual parents.
Thor lost most of
Like,
his
there's
too.
not a lot of who, yeah, Thor lost most of his. Same way, and his brother. Like, it's like, oh, who do the men have to look up to? Not in the fictional realm. It's like She Hulk has her dad. That's cool. But Matt's dad dead. Matt
We don't even
Murdock's
know
dad is
Scott has
dead.
parents.
Um,
Ant-Man.
yeah, we don't know if yeah, he has a good relationship with his father-in-law.
Right.
So that's something, but it's like, that's like
Mhm.
the only one really. And he has a daughter, which that's a good representation. I like Scott and Ant-Man, but there's not a lot of, even in these, I mean, we were just talking about Aquaman, and it's just like, yeah, on the one hand, if they kill that baby, that's a ballsy move to do the opposite. But it's like, yeah, we don't see a lot of good dads or good relationships with dads in these Now, I'm not saying it has to be a priority. It's just like this one was actually kind of a standout.
Ooh,
Like
to backtrack for a second, I think the
um
only thing that can save Aquaman 2 is if that movie is fundamentally and foundationally about family between his whether son, his dad, his
oh yeah.
mom, his brother. If family is the forefront of that story, I think it has the potential to rise above and be really good. If it doesn't get lost in the muck of all of the action
I,
and whatnot.
I can agree with you because Black Manta's core thing is
Mhm.
built about revenge for his dad from the first movie. So I think that can work. But yeah, but to getting circling back to my thing with like Blue Beetle. Um I think I think they should have gone a little deeper and let Jaime's kind of character flaw be a man that like a young man that learns the difference between healthy and unhealthy expression of like anger. And I think that would have been a really good thing to have his dad be there for in some capacity. where it's like, hey son, I understand that you're mad that like you come back and the first thing you find out is we're losing the house and we don't know what to do, and you feel, because of him feeling powerless, and you're trying to go out there and support the family, and it's hard, and you're putting more stress on yourself, uh than you need to. That's my job. Like, oh,
Yeah,
but
what
dad, you
would
have a
you
heart condition. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Don't do that, because then you'll end up like me. That's how I
how
got
would you
this heart
feel
condition from stress,
if, like,
which
because the
ended up
scare was
killing me.
all about killing, and then by the end of the movie, he changed he like affected the scare to like, no, we shouldn't kill, right? How would you feel if he was all about killing,
Yeah.
and then his dad was the only one in the family that wasn't about it, and then his dad was the one that convinced him that he doesn't have to kill people, and then that's when like him and the scarab like can be on the same page about not killing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would have really worked, especially because I think a lot of times uh the world wants a more sanitized version of like, you know black and brown people. So it's like, no, we're like, and that's a actual strength of the
Yeah.
movie, is like it's very humanizing. While still being culturally in tune, it doesn't feel like it's talking down to the audience, or just be like, ice exists. It seems like these are conversations that feel honestly normal in households and communities like that. From an outside perspective, is that's so I'm speaking very much like tertiary, because it's not my community. But it's like, but I felt like, no, it's like, this seems normal. This seems like they feel like a family. But I think it would make, especially with grandma being a revolutionary, her being cool with like anger at like the system, and like rebellion, and being like, look, you have to do, because she was mowing down motherfuckers. It would make it would make sense in how they characterized them in the movie. Like, yeah, they were scared, but it's like, we will fight for, we come from a long line of people that is like, have had to fight for our land,
Mhm.
have had to fight for our right to exist. Either, you know, be it against terrorists, be it against cartel. We've had
Right.
to, revolution. So it's like, we've been. That's what it is. Like,
Mhm.
we come from a long line of fighters.
Yeah.
We have a fighter spirit, and if we have to take it to lethal extreme, it's what you got to do, and then have dad be the pacifist. So that's where
Right.
maybe where Jaime gets
All that
involved.
balance, that contrast.
And then it's like, even his uncle is just like, Batman's a fascist. He doesn't trust the system. All of that makes sense. That would make sense why he's a little bit more loosey goosey with like, it's like, I'm not trying to be a murderer, but I'm not, I don't want to
Right.
be a killer, but I'm
I'm not
not
gonna
afraid
go.
of
I'm not gonna
violence.
go seeking it, but I'm not afraid of it. Like push comes to shove, I'll do what I gotta do.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, because I think that's what got me a little bit too. I get him being scared of the suit and its powers, but in the fight, he seemed a little bit more
I
childish
get
than
that.
his age,
He's freaking out like a
and
kid
that
would,
kind of
rather than like
made me
a
feel
young
weird.
adult would.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you're acting more like high school than college. I'm not saying a young adult would not be fucking terrified if a big beetle robot man started throwing cards at you and shit. But there is like a point where I think the inner kid would kind of pop out, and you're like, I have a cool robot suit and it can do just about anything. Yes, this situation is scary, but also
Yeah, he
kind
lived
of
that.
sick.
He realized that pretty late into the game.
Yet, like, remember being a kid and you'd like see a action movie, and then you'd pretend like you get that power fantasy, which I think a lot of little boys have. I think that would have been dope to touch into, where it's just like, it's like, oh man, this is just like fucking Call of Duty, machine gun hand, like, fa-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like, would that not have been sick? So I think Jaime got a little neutered and infantilized more than I would
Oh, we're good.
love.
I think it would have been cool, and it would have been
Ooh,
good foreshadowing if we had some sort of establishment that Jaime was into like video games or anime. That way, when he starts making like, the anime house weapons, it makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, have him playing like FF7R remake or some shit, like with the big Buster Sword. That's what everyone was calling it. So it's like, because I think it's just, especially given how fucking long this movie is, I think there's a couple points where you could have edited around those. Uh, You know, like, I don't think we
Oh,
really
we haven't
needed the
gotten to
opening
long movies
scene
yet.
for what it was supposed to oh god. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit, but, no, but otherwise, I still think it's fun. Like, as critical as I'm being, it's more so for what wasn't done, but I do hope we get I don't think it needs to be a sequel movie, honestly, do
I
it as a
see this as a
series.
series. I wouldn't be
Give
mad at this.
give it more time. Yeah, do it do it as a Max series, James? Do it as a Max series. The Blue Beetle series, following his
Yeah,
exploits after
Cobra
that, I
Kai's about
think
to
could be a lot of
end.
fun.
Yeah, he's
You
gonna
know,
do
you could
some
explore
work.
stuff.
Yeah, let him have a show. I like that. It's removed enough to not be
Yeah,
affected by anything.
I think Jason I think Jason Sudeikis would do like 8 episodes about like, you have that one be focused on the Blue Beetle as a legacy, and then you can also incorporate like Black Beetle, and I know there are 2 other scarabs that have been introduced recently. I think there's a yellow one. It's like a rhino and then
Yeah,
like a red
and I
one,
will say the
a red
one
or green
thing
one.
as of right now, DC is better about with their universe making series as opposed to Marvel is that they actually have shows that feel like shows with some piece.
Yeah. Like Doom Patrol's fucking great. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still waiting for that
And
shit to
Peacemaker
end. Like,
more like
still waiting for the
prominently
second.
because that was like an 8 episode show and it was great. And it was a
That was great.
spin-off of one of their
Mhm.
movies. Like, yeah, give Blue Beetle a show, have
Yeah.
the creative team come back with extended capacity and do something long form. I think it'd be
Yeah.
great. I'd be super down for that.
Yeah, that is also a very easy way to slowly backdoor
That
your
part.
Teen Titans.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's you know that I think that's a very if that'd be a good separator. If your movies are heavy hitters and your TV shows are like weird shit
Mhm.
and teams, I think that could work. Because I mean, all things considered, Titans ran for
Yeah.
4 seasons. So if
I
you want to
think
bring him back, do it
I think the
that way.
biggest dictator
Start.
of the future of how DC wants to use Blue Beetle will really depend on how well it does on VOD and Max. Because motherfuckers didn't really go out to
Yeah, I agree.
support most recently Indiana Jones, but apparently it's doing fantastic in streaming. It's doing
Nope.
fantastic on VOD. Yeah, I saw like
Really?
a headline for that recently. So I'm like,
Oh,
okay, people just don't want to go to the theaters, but that doesn't mean they don't
okay.
want to watch the stuff. And like, it's a lot more. I feel like people are a lot more inclined to
Yeah.
watch it like on a whim at home than they are to go out, like just buy the tickets online, go get in their car, drive X amount of miles to go to a theater, get the popcorn. Like, not everyone's gonna do that. Most people don't want to do that. But if you can just watch it on the couch, you can pause it
Yeah.
whenever you want to. Yeah, I feel like a lot more people would go out to do that than they would intentionally go buy a ticket for a motherfucker they don't know or care about.
Right. Like I have an unlimited pass, and
Right.
sometimes I have to remind myself to use it to justify the money I pay for it. Which I'm gonna try to use that hopefully later. I guess today by the time we're recording. But yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on Blue Beetle? To we move over to
It was fun,
the turtles,
and
Tuttles?
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it was fun. Um, good soundtrack. So
Woo!
let's talk about TMNT Mutant Mayhem. That movie,
Great. Loved it.
fantastic.
Okay.
That is probably in my top 5 for the
It'll
year.
probably end up in there. Yeah, it'll probably
It
end up in there because it was
I'm
so good.
astonished at how good that it was. Here's the thing, I figured it would be, like, good in a fun way. I didn't expect it to
Yeah,
be, like, great the way that it was great. I wasn't expecting it to be bad whatsoever. I thought it would be like, "Oh, it'll be like a fun kids movie," and it was, but it was, like,
beautifully
beautifully animated
animated,
and
had
stylistic
so
more than
much
I
fucking
expected.
heart to it. The s- the characters they
Um,
revitalized the turtles.
yeah,
They made me give a
yeah,
shit about
it did.
something that has been around for all of my life, but redid it in a way that it's
Yeah.
accessible to new audiences and gets me excited about these characters again. Because who would have thunk treating the teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like
Mhm.
teenagers would work wonders?
Would work. And like the emphasis on this in this one is explicitly on the
Yeah,
teenage and the mutant part of them feeling like outsiders, but
yeah,
they're still clearly
15,
kids.
16.
Um, I will say, I will say though, half of this cast was
Yeah.
like kind of a waste. Not that they were misused; they're good, but like, why was
Why was John
Giancarlo
Cena in this
Esposito in this
movie?
movie?
Why
For
was Maya Rudolph in this
I
movie? No, she was good. But then
no,
when
Maya Rudolph actually does. I mean, she's on Big Mouth, so she's done voice work, and she's gonna be a long term villain. That one makes a little bit of sense, only because when it's
no,
like Cynthia
yeah, I
Neutron, I'm
misspoke
like,
because I know she's in the movie, but she
why
had
do
a
I
bigger
know?
role. I was thinking more people like, well, I think Kristen Wiig was in this. Post Malone was in it as well. Yeah,
Why
exactly.
was Post
He played
Malone
the
in
woman that
this?
was singing.
So why was Rose Byrne in this? Paul Rudd,
Yes,
I'll excuse because I really liked Mondo Gecko. Mondo Gecko was probably my favorite of the mutants behind
super great.
Superfly. Superfly was good. Ice Cube was really, really good in this movie. Like weirdly, like this might be
Yeah,
one of his
I
best
agree.
roles. Good, in my opinion, which is a weird thing to say, but he was really fucking good. Who who directed this?
Mm,
Like, who did the voice direction on this? Was it Jeff Rowe? He's the director of it. I don't know if he did the voice direction though, but whoever did
yeah.
the voice direction in this was cooking.
No, I think it was just from the art style to the needle drops are incredible. And
The
bro,
needle drops were so good. The
the No
fights.
Diggity
Oh,
scene
that
lives rent free
horizontal
in my head,
fight.
bro. That whole
Um,
sequence was amazing.
that whole fight sequence, like all the fights in this movie are phenomenal. They're beautiful to look at. They're creative. I'm like, God damn it. Oh, it's like insulting how much effort was put into this. Uh, I mean, let's even talk about like the main cast. The four kids they got for the turtles, great, each one of them. They all
I
stood
have
out to
one,
me. I
yeah,
know
I
how
have
you had
one
one
minor
minor
complaint.
critique is for Mikey. We disagreed on
So I
that one,
loved
but
all the
go
turtles, love their chemistry, love the fact that they're
yeah.
all recorded in the same room. The only one that didn't, I didn't hate it, but I was felt like it was less prominent because I felt like it was so clear who Raph was. It was so clear who Donnie was, who Leonardo was. But I feel like Mikey wasn't as clear. I feel like Mikey could have been fleshed out a little bit more because he's already someone who has all this like nerdy pop culture stuff. But then
Still with me? We were talking about you were telling me about Michelangelo and the
right,
your discrepancy with the kid.
yeah, I just everyone else felt like them to me except for Mikey. Mikey was the only one that felt not like Mikey as I've come to know him, and I feel like there wasn't
Mm,
anything. Because the thing is, I feel like within other TMNT dynamics, he is like the lovable one. The lovable one, typically the comic relief, the silliest or most immature of them.
mhm.
And I did really feel that coming in here because all of them were kind of immature, but they had that extra thing to them. I feel like Mikey, obviously we're just updating the archetype of the teenager.
Goofball.
Yeah, of a goofball of the teenagers. And I feel like if they would have leaned into him being a goofy black kid a little bit more,
Yeah,
I think it would have
because
worked for me.
we all know the turtles are canonically black kids.
Right.
Because of that picture that they said where they made them, they imagined themselves as human and they were all black kids. Because I mean, they're from New York. They talk now little New York nigglets. So
Yeah.
but but yeah, that was something where I think we kind of disagreed a little bit on it. But it's like I can understand it though. I think it was for me. I still felt enough came through. Right. I mean, performance wise, they're all great. I
Yeah.
think for you is more of a writing thing where he didn't have as many highlight moments as maybe the others did, like or like statements like it's like, dude, you really need to go into anger management, or you really need to go to therapy, or it's like finally I'm the leader, or
Yeah.
just like
Even
oh
the line that could have gone to Mikey when he was like, "It's okay, chill," that went to Donnie.
hmm
And it feels like more of a Mikey kind of thing to do. There was nothing. I don't know. I don't know. Outside of him, like wanting to do improv. Like even the thing when he was like mentioning the thing about the Hulk and pop culture, like that
Mhm.
seems like the pop culture geek thing is already Donnie's thing. So to also give it to Mikey kind of like makes it less unique to him.
Mm.
And the only thing that was like felt kind of Mikey-ish when him and Mondo Gecko were like, "I like your vibe," but that was like the really like only one scene out
Yeah,
of
and I think that's one of the moments where I got it, where it's just like, them wanting to skateboard together and him wanting to do like improv. I felt like I think that those were more literal ways of him
the
trying to be a
improv thing is
comedian.
new. I don't think Mikey's ever been an improv kid prior to this
No,
movie.
yeah, I agree, but it's just like Mikey being the comic relief. It would make sense that he's, the one that does something comedy adjacent.
Yeah, I think when I think of Mikey, the two words that come to mind are immature and chill. And
Okay.
since all of them are immature because they're young, that takes one thing away from him. And the only time I really see him being chill is within that one scene.
Hmm.
And like Raph has his anger thing. He's like this teenage bloodlust kind of thing.
Yeah.
Donnie has this anime geeky kind of thing going for
Yeah,
him.
he's a big
Theo
old
is like
nerd.
two shoes. So with that, all those characteristics on top of being immature, it doesn't leave Mikey with much left as an individual, at least in my
Yeah,
opinion.
because a lot of Mikey's qualities could also just be attributed to like teenagers themselves. Um,
Exactly.
which I think that's your argument. I think for me, Mikey as a character has always been like I agree with the chill part. I think the other part is that he's like a lighthearted or funny. Like he's kind of the heart of the team. So he doesn't take things as seriously, which I do agree that's kind of the childish nature that shows up in all the turtles with them being teenagers now and them also feeling more uh I think they've always felt like brothers in different ways in each adaptation, but these do feel like brothers that mess with each other and tease each other, but they play with each other, play with to each other's strengths and also know how to like enhance them and work together even when they didn't know they knew how to work together well. So it's like
Mhm.
even when they were splitting up their duties early on in the movie, it's like you take these, I'll take these, you take these. Like no, but I always take these. Ah, man, like you know. And so it's like they feel like siblings, get on each
Yeah, I
other's
feel like,
nerves and everything. But I get what you mean. It's just like each turtle kind of has to stand out, and
and don't get me wrong, I don't think they have to specifically go with that '90s like "What's up, bro" like kind of attitude.
no, I think they actually adapted that pretty well. Like one of my favorite scenes is them after the fight when they're like, "Hey, bacon, egg, and cheese, the Aki way." I'm like, that's such a good character moment. That's
That
also
was
incredibly accurate.
yeah, no, I think that was great. Like I think if they would have leaned into either him like being like let's say he's like super into like TikTok and like he's like into like the culture, or
Yeah,
if he is they lean into him being the heart of the team more, or like they really kind of lean into the little brother aspect of things. Like he's the runt of the litter
yeah,
aspect kind of thing. I think all of those things could have worked for me. I feel like there wasn't enough specific things within his character specifically. That being said, I do like the performance, I do like the voice actor, and I do like the dynamic between
yeah.
all four of the turtles. But if it was like knocked down even slightly of
Yeah,
my enjoyment.
I think for you of the turtles, his was like comparatively the weakest in terms of characterization. But that's not to say that he's a bad character. Like
Exactly.
I think he still worked because it's still a great movie and it's still a great adaptation. It's just like of the brothers specifically.
Yeah.
Because if anything, like the mutants are a lot weaker on the whole comparatively than the turtles as a group. But I still like the mutants. I still like
Oh,
that they're unique and they all have kind of their own things. Yo girl, Ayo Eddieberry, she is
mhm.
working, bro. She's
She
getting a
really is.
bag out the ass. I need to go see
She was
Bottoms
great.
because I think that came out this week too.
Bottoms was fun. I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
I
like
need to
she's
come there.
she's she's
Awesome.
getting she's getting her coin up, bro. She's good in the movie. I like her.
Yeah, and she's a black girl. She's the same age as us, 95.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's doing her thing.
she's our age, super talented, anyone can do it.
Mhm.
But yeah,
She's
no,
killing
she
it.
Jackie Chan was great as Master Splinter. I know some people are a little not angry, but a little terse that they didn't keep with the is it Oroku Saki?
There's a few different origins for Splinter, so
There
um,
are. I think the original is he was a samurai who got turned into a rat.
and then
I
they were like,
think.
isn't like one of them? He was like the pet of a kung
Yeah.
fu master, like the
There's
pet.
one where he was the pet rat of a samurai. And then there's one he was a samurai got turned into a rat. And then there's this one where he was a rat who watched a bunch of like 90s Taibo martial arts DVDs and YouTube and learned how to do it. Which, I mean, it's creative. I it didn't bother me, but I could see how like diehards could be like, oh, it's not,
No,
not
as long
my
as we, yeah, as long as we get to the fact that he teaches them.
Tomasa Yoshi. Yeah, he was he in the original comics and live action movies. He is a pet rat of a ninja named Tamato Yoshi.
I also like that he felt more like a dad than a samurai than a
Yeah, I like that too. Where it's like I think him being a father figure is more so have they done before. Here he feels like a father. Like family plays a very important role in this movie, and I think it's one of the things that it excels at incredibly well. Is like, yeah,
family
it has.
acceptance.
So what?
Family and acceptance are the two biggest things
Yes.
in the movie.
Yeah, like the themes in it work. I really like Superfly. Superfly is a villain up there with some of the other ones, where I'm like, he kind of has a point, and then takes it too far. And I kind of hate that it keeps happening. You notice that keeps happening with like black villains.
Killmonger, yup, and who else in recent history have that as well?
There's another one that came to mind because this is like
Oh,
the
there's
huh.
yeah, I can't say it. I can't. There's another one that comes to mind, but I need you to catch up on your properties before I can
Which
discuss
property
that.
is it?
One Piece.
Oh, what is it? Arlong?
Yeah.
I think I've heard about that. Yeah, it's like it's always like the brother is the villain, and he starts making a point, and then he's like, and then we're gonna turn them into slaves, or we're gonna burn their land to the ground. It's like, nigga,
We were so close.
we were this close. Like, I think that's I've heard that's actually a tactic that they use to kind of undermine radicals, where it's like, oh, they have a good idea, but then they take it too far. It's like I'm like, I think it would have worked had they left it at the nuance and he didn't like go over the board where it's just like no we're just like we're gonna make ourselves the dominant species and make them respect us. And I think that would have been more of an interesting internal query for a bunch of teenagers to be like, is this the right way to go about acceptance? And I think it might have been actually interesting to see on a wider scale a forced sense of acceptance, and then going into the because I know this is getting a series I think on Paramount Plus, following this between this and I guess the sequel movie. Um, you know, to have it be like, how does society react? I mean, they set that up with the present ending of like how does society react to a bunch of giant turtle people, but it's like how would society react to well, actually, I guess they did do that. That is where it ended ultimately. Where it's like, how does society adapt and react to mutants now being a part of it,
Yeah,
not of their own volition? Now,
I
so
mean,
it's like he sort of got his goal, but in a roundabout way. So I guess I gotta give the movie credit where credit is due.
yeah, and it's the first time we're seeing like the turtles actually out of the shadows and accepted and like being part of society.
Yeah, this is a big shakeup, but it Turtles is one of the few franchises that I think can afford to take weird risks like this because
The
they've
process the
always
first time this
done
has
it.
happened in like all of its history.
As far as I know, this is the first time, but I'm okay with it just because Turtles, as an adaptation throughout, has kind of always excelled at how it makes the concept different every time it's adapted.
Hmm.
Like the live action movies are different from the cartoons, or different from the comics, or different from but not in like, you know, the way where you look at those, you look at 2002 Spider-Man, 2012 Spider-Man, and 2017 Spider-Man. There's a lot of things that are very overlappy,
Mm-hmm.
down to a white guy in a mask. You look at Mutant Mayhem, the Turtles from '03, and the Turtles from like '89. Each one of those is radically different.
Right. Yeah.
Like, not,
Just
and
some
it's not
foundational
just
things are
art
the
style.
same, but stylistically and like, yeah, all they're
Like, the character designs aren't even close to one another.
no.
They're like, the characterization isn't like the characterization, in so as much as there are a couple core things where it's like, oh, but even Rise doesn't do that because Raph was the leader in
Oh,
Rise,
really?
and I believe Raph started the leader, and then they switched to the status quo over time, is what I heard. But yeah,
Interesting.
like Turtles always changes its status quo with every adaptation. I mean, Master Splinter, I think, was a black rat versus a brown one in the Nickelodeon show. And like Mikey had a gap in his tooth.
Yeah.
Um like the Turtles, I
And
think,
we
are
have
one
the
of the
Bay
few.
Turtles too, and those are its own
The Bay Turtle, ugly as fuck, but hey, it was different.
lips. Right.
It was different.
I'll say this movie did something very interesting that I don't think other adaptations of the Turtles have done. In which, one, the fact that they made them teenagers, but two, in making them teenagers,
Yeah.
one thing I really noticed the first time I watched it, they really wanted to hone in on that fact. And because of that, they really were talking about 2020s pop culture, things like
That was one of your
TikTok and like
worries.
using things like
I remember
Riz and and like
the
culture
lingo
of
of the
these
time.
things are gonna change so fast, especially in the age of the internet. So maybe kids aren't even saying Riz in 5 years. Kind of reminded me of something like Iron Man 1, like using like the flip phone and like, oh, don't put this on your
Yeah.
MySpace. Nobody uses fucking MySpace anymore 15 years later.
Right.
So it made me think like, okay, if we are going to adapt them as actual teenagers, and this is the path we're taking from now on, we're going to need to update the status quo of these turtles every 10 to 15 years to reflect
Yeah.
teenagers of the time.
I think that, because the thing is, like, I still think the movie's great. I don't mind it being dated, because I think that says more about what the times were than about
No, it's very reflective of it. I agree.
yeah, like, I think it's more effective because I remember we were talking and you were worried, is like, will it date the movie? And I think, to what you're saying now, it's like it more so exemplifies what times were like when they were produced. Because if you look at this one versus like the live action '80s movie, that movie is like, it it is slightly dated in terms of special effects, but like, as far as like it holding up, I think most people that have seen that movie are like, no, it still holds up, because it's like, narratively and character wise are able to follow. Like Jurassic Park, I think, is a is an old movie. Was it 90? But still holds up, just because, like, narratively and character wise it's effective.
Well,
And I think that will trump any sort of time. So I'm saying this to build off of your point, not in contrast to it, by the way. But it's like, I think this one does have potential to stand against the test of time, but it'll be interesting to see, like you said, how will they, if they hone in more on that teenager part, because like with each one you can tell which adjective they kind of focused on. Like when we were kids in the '03 Turtles, they really honed in on that ninja part, but with this one they're very big on the teenage and the mutant part. Um so it would be interesting to see how would they do Turtles in like 2033.
yeah.
Like, what's the dialect gonna be like? What are teenagers gonna be
Are they
like?
still
Because,
skateboarding at that point?
no, on God though, because like everybody's been indoors the last couple of years. I wonder if like, and teenagers are evolving in a weird way socially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how that's gonna reflect in the writing. Like, this is, and I think it helps that they also let the teenagers like be kids and kind of riff too. Like, they didn't structure them. Like, they had a script,
Right, but
obviously,
it's not
but they
for
let them.
sure.
Yeah, like they let them have fun and improv and let them be teens. And I mean, honestly, if they riff for like an hour and a half, you honestly have your own movie right there.
Yeah.
Um, but I'd be so curious to see. I don't know what it was, but this is the first time they they sounded like teenagers of their age.
Hmm.
Because like maybe the '80s ones were like "Cowabunga," we were like, "That's radical." Like, I think that's why Mondo Gecko is hilarious to me because it's like, oh, that's from you're a vestige of a time
Yeah,
lost. But
he felt very 90s, Mondo Gecko.
yeah, like radical, bro. Yeah, man, get on my skateboard. Um, but I'm certainly just like fascinated how the turtles are going to continue to evolve because I almost forgot how fucking good TMNT versus Batman was. That movie's
Yeah, I
great.
just watched that for the first time
A
recently. It's
really
awesome.
That's a pretty damn good movie. Like, you know, I did they had a they've had a Power Rangers crossover recently. I would love to see that one adapted into an
Well, they
animated
also had
movie.
one in the 90s with the turtles of the TV
We don't talk about
show
Next
with the
Mutation.
sister turtle and
Yeah, we don't talk
Power
about
Rangers.
Venus. Even though I think she's canon now. They have like two girl
You want
turtles
your
now.
crossover? There it is. Go watch that.
Or don't. And just read the comic book where the turtles get Power Ranger costumes.
Ooh,
And the Power Rangers turn into animals.
what?
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta send me this. I have no idea about this. The turtles get
Yeah.
power.
TMXT X Power Rangers and like I think the Shredder gets like dragons or it's some wild shit. Like shout outs to whoever writes those because like that's how you maximize because the movie did that. That's how you maximize your crossover. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna turn all the superheroes into animals and the villains into animals, and we're gonna have the Ninja Turtles fight Batman. And the Shredder and Batman are gonna have a hand to hand fight and the motherfucker nearly loses. Because that makes him more of a threat. It's like, damn, if Shredder's whooping Batman's
Mm.
ass, these turtles are fucked. Like,
Oh, this is cool.
yeah.
Oh,
You
dope.
see it?
Yeah, I'm looking at this right now. That's sick as
Yeah.
hell. When was the last time
That's probably
you
something.
looked at the 2003 show's cartoon theme song? Because there's a part in that.
Oh, I still remember it.
I love being a
Being the
There's one
turtle.
part I watched it with my friend recently, had me fucking dying, dude. It was just like
Turtles counted off.
1, 2, 3. There's no one better, and like immediately without a,
Watch out for
I'm like,
Shredder.
God damn! Like,
That shit was
where did you
weird.
come
Now
from?
that I think about it, but you're right.
You
No,
know,
the fact that we definitely grew up with that, and I can hear it clear as day in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have fast forward
Oh yeah,
where they just jumped into the 2300s or some shit. It's like the
didn't they?
fuck.
Wasn't fast forward like they did like a redesign of the turtles, so now they had eyes. Oh
I
no,
think
that was
so.
Back to the Sewers. That was the fifth.
Oh yeah, that was the season after
Yeah, I
that
didn't
one.
watch that. I think I mainly remember the first three
Yeah.
seasons.
I remember the first few. I think I stopped around fast forward and then I heard they were doing was not Turtles in Time. It was the crossover movie.
Oh, Turtles,
The first
Turtles
crossover movie.
Forever.
Turtles Forever.
I need to watch
Yeah.
that.
But they couldn't get the proper voice actors back. So it was weird
Mm.
and like uh Uncle Phil's actor had died, so they had a whole new Shredder, and he sounded weird
Oh
too.
damn!
Mm.
I need to go back and watch that.
Yeah, but then the Nick Turtles, I know had a crossover with the '80s Turtles as
And then they
well.
made
I would
and then they
be,
made them 3D too.
uh,
They
yeah, which I'm like, it didn't look bad. It was just weird to see.
yeah.
Like remember the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour where Timmy Turner was in 3D
That
and it looked
was
weird because you're not used to seeing it.
like
That's what it
had
was
the
like. It's like
buggy
it doesn't.
eyes and like the buck teeth still. It was so strange.
Yeah, it's like it was weird, not because it was bad, just because you're not used to it. You
But Jimmy
know, it's
translated great to 2D though.
yeah, like he transferred to 2D perfectly fine. So it's like I think it's easier. I would say to go from 2D to from 3D to 2D than 2D to 3D because everything starts as concept
Right.
art.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know, like yeah, because they had the Mirage Turtles in Turtles Forever, and so seeing them animated was like slightly weird because like, oh, I've never seen you leap off the page like, it's a, oh, what are these clowns up to? When they're all talking like fucking Daredevil.
Yeah, they're all dark and brooding and shit.
Yeah, God, that's how the turtle started. Was a dark and brooding
They
Daredevil
all
parody.
had red masks
Which,
too, so you couldn't tell which one was which.
which, yeah, now they're color coordinated. Which honestly, one of the best decisions they've ever
Agreed.
made.
Yeah.
Tell these motherfuckers apart, and then like, I think was it the Nick show or Rise? I think each turtle is actually a different, or maybe it was the live action one. Each turtle's like a different turtle
I think it's
species,
Rise. I think it's Rise is the one where they're all different turtles.
which that's an interesting concept where I kind of wish they would do more with that, where
One's a
that
snapping
would maybe
turtle.
feed into their skills. Yeah, like yeah, Raph would be like a snapping turtle. Leo would be like a Eastern box turtle. I could see who do you think would be a sea turtle? Donnie or Mikey? I think
Mikey would be the
Mikey.
sea turtle.
Mikey would be a sea turtle, and then like Donnie could be like a I don't know, like a red-eared slider or some shit.
Yeah, sure. I think.
Or a desert turtle tortoise or something like.
Let me ask you this about the show that's coming out. Now, do you think
Mhm.
this show is canon? Do you think it's going to change up things?
It's canon.
Okay. Do you think it's going to be the same style as the movie, or do you think they're going to go 2D with it?
I think they're going to make a 2D version of this style.
Okay. So, because I also, my only concern.
Now, if they keep the style, shit,
Right,
God bless.
I would not be mad at that at all.
I would be happy, but I could see, like you know, like I said, everything starts. I mean, well, they have all the assets already, so they might just keep
My
the
thought
style.
is like, are they going to go Marvel with it, where like you need to watch this show to understand the second movie, or are all the things within in the show going to be pretty explainable, or like not essential for the sequel story? Because I would rather them wait to use Shredder in the movie than use it in the show.
I agree. I agree. That makes me wonder what the plot of the show is. Which the only other thing I could think is you do half Slice of Life, half setting up the
I think
Krang.
I learned.
Oh wait, no, you could do Foot Clan. That'd be a that'd be an interim that makes sense. Like if the season, if the show is like the season between the movie, you could have the Foot Clan be like the mystery while they're trying, you know, balancing being a student and a superhero, setting up the Foot Clan, the mystery of that, and then have Shredder be the big bad in the movie. Because like I have the same question about what the fuck they're doing with that Knuckles TV show that's also going to be on Paramount.
I'm like,
Between that and Sonic 3, because that comes out
and
this year too.
if it's canon, will the show stand on its own, or will they do that thing where it's like we're gonna have this whole 8 to 10 episode season, and then the finale where they're gonna meet Shredder? You got to watch the movie to find out what happens at the finale, and then come back next season after the aftermath.
Yeah, I think that, remember how Agents of Shield did that when Winter Soldier came out? I think they're gonna do it like that because that's just good marketing.
Okay.
And if it's the same team, I think that if it's the same, because I think they're keeping the kids, which is good because they're super talented. But if they're keeping the same like team from the movie, just moving them to a longer format and then back to the movie, all it really is just a budget difference.
Yeah, I wonder if old girl.
Well, they can't do anything now because of
Right,
strike.
but when they come back, I wonder if all the actors are going to return. Like, is old girl going to return as April? I mean, she's really doing
I hope so. I mean, she has time.
Yeah,
I mean, she's busy as shit, but I feel like getting AO to do it, despite how busy her schedule is, I think she would have enough time to do it.
I think it'd be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Any other high praise for Turtles? It's great.
No, I loved it almost as much as Spider-Verse, and I can't wait for the sequel and the TV show because now I'm invested. I gotta watch the show.
Hey, Editing Will here. In the post, there was a little bit of a minor snafu with Aaron's sound that I'm going to hopefully fix in this upcoming two-parter. But if you want to know his socials, he's on Instagram at the real Aaron Alexander. He's on TikTok at Aaron Alexander 64. You can also find him on the Real Rejects YouTube channel, doing some reactions. So go support my co-host. Yeah, if you're looking for me, you can find me at Will the Greatest on Instagram, Will.the Greatest on TikTok, and Will the Greatest on YouTube. Don't forget to like the show, share the show with your friends, rate the show positively, and leave a comment with the hashtag AskAce. So one more time, call to action. Don't forget to like the show, share the show with your friends, rate the show positively, and leave a comment with the hashtag AskAce, and maybe we'll answer it next time on the show. That's been us for this podcast. We will see you all in the next one.